Hey guys, it's Tyler as always. I know I made a video saying that speeding up your combat won't fix your combat in general, for lack of a better word, if you have these other baseline problems. Namely, that the combat's just happening for no reason. It's just random encounter, and now you fight these things because you're adventurers and you fight stuff. And we're not really playing a role playing game here, we're playing an adventure board game. And that's true. But speeding up gameplay in general, where it needs to be sped up, is something that so many games could work on. And while I was doing and watching a little bit of Max's stream before I joined earlier today, I noticed that everyone points out the problems, but they have solutions that are just like, if the Venn diagram is combat's a problem, role play is a problem. Here's my solution. The solution's over here. It's like totally irrelevant. It's trying to say, oh well, we'll do theater of the mind to speed things up, or we'll do miniature combat to make things more precise. But the problems are threefold. Number one, there's no player trust. Player trust is sometimes hard won because players have been, I think Max said, once a cat is scalded, it's hard to get them near water again, or something like that. I thought that was a fun analogy because, yeah, it's true. I have had three different players all say, it seems interesting, seems like something I'd be into, but just my first couple of experiences with tabletop RPGs were terrible. I just couldn't do anything with my character, or anything I could do didn't end up mattering. So you might have to win back that player trust if it has been shattered, and that for those people, for me, just meant becoming their friends outside of RPGs, and then they were like, this guy doesn't seem like a controlling psychopath with trust issues. Yeah, I'll let's join that. And the other part is, if you have a mechanic that is player facing, Pathfinder and 3.5's power attack, for example, just trust that the player's math on it is right. If it's even like feasibly right, they got a 15 and you're thinking like normally it's a 13, you know, have some leeway for maybe they just rolled really well if they're not rolling in the open. Maybe their character's just really strong. Maybe they got a belt that you forgot about since you last looked at that character's character sheet. I don't even look at my players' character sheets that often unless they ask me to, unless they're like, hey, did I do this right? Because, number two, I trust that my players know the game. This is a big one. And to some people, it'll sound like, oh, that goes without saying. Obviously, you need to know the game. But for example, the stream I recently did with Zonalar, I was misremembering some rules. I knew I didn't know the exact rules on how full auto works in Shadowrun 5th edition. I know it like stacks recoil, but it makes it harder to dodge. I think it has the potential to do more damage. Therefore, I wouldn't run Shadowrun 5th edition right now until I had reread those rules. I would refresh myself on what exactly do I not know here. I wouldn't do that in the middle of the game. That is what's going to slow things down, halt things to a crunch. Oh, what was this again? Do I have this or that? No. If you're a spellcaster, you should know what spells you have available to you to cast. Now, if you're preparing spells from the day and you're like a cleric or something and you're playing a game where you just get access to the whole list, that can be a daunting task sometimes. So, again, do a little bit of the homework beforehand and pick a list of, out of 100 spells that you have access to, pick a list of 10 that you feel are reasonable. Are you going to use Poison Egg? Probably not. um, are you going to use, I don't know, are there three different spells you have access to that are all range damage dealers? Well, maybe just keep two of those, keep a sticky note on 2 of those or something, or pop 2 of them into your character sheet, just the titles of them. And then if you need the full text of the spell up as a reminder, keep that open in a tab, so all you have to do is Control 3, boom, I'm in tab 3. Oh, yep, okay, that's what the spell does. Then, back to point 1, player trust. Don't read the full text of what the spell does. One, it just breaks immersion, right? The goblin horde is approaching. Rusty spears and other things that barely resemble weapons, but nobody would certainly want to be poked with, are charging towards you. I don't know why I made a weird pause there with you. This is impromptu, we'll go with it. Are charging towards you. They're a mere 60 feet away, and you have a chance to act. I cast Whip of Spiders, so like a bunch of spiders appear, and hold on, let me see what that does. Okay, so it's got a range of personal, it has a somatic component. I'm not being grappled by any of the goblins there, am I? No, they're 60 feet away. Okay, so it creates a whip of poisonous spiders, which is 15 feet long and acts as a whip, but I don't need whip proficiency. Is exotic weapon proficiency whips. I don't need that feat because it's like magic and stuff. And then just tell me what the spell does. Holy crap. And if you have never seen that happen, literally pull up like any, you've probably got a coin flip, pull up a game of either that happening or the player just doesn't know how their spells work. The last game Crispy ran, like what, session 27 or something of the game, and somebody is asking, wait, is that Fireball or Firebolt? Okay, they have kind of similar names, but assuming these sessions are all 2 hours, you played like 50 something hours of a game, and you don't know the difference between, what, it's like a level 1 spell and a level 3 spell or something like that? Come on. Know what your character can do. That way, it plays back into the first thing. Your GM will have more trust that you know how your character works if you know how your character works. That's kind of tautological, circular logic. But what I'm getting at is you won't have trust issues if you cast Fireball, you wave your hands, and a small red orb appears that you then flick into the horde of goblins, and then it explodes into a burst. Great, awesome. But if you just made that same description and you cast Firebolt, now as a GM I'm going, Firebolt is a single target spell, but he's describing it as if it's in the middle and he's not like, now I'm, okay, are you trying to hit like just one goblin with that? What is, and now we have the issue number 3, out of character questions. It goes both ways, but it's mostly to the player character. Don't ask out of character questions. And this can be tricky in a tactical game where you're doing either theater of the mind or, what's the word for it? You're not using what you see is what you get minis. So things are, even though you're using miniatures, things are still kind of abstracted. You will have the issue occasionally and the temptation to go, oh, I'm going to cast Burning Hands, and oh, but my ally's there. DM, can I like aim the cone so that it doesn't hit my And do you know, there are so few situations that I've ever seen where it has not been possible to aim a cone such that you're not hitting one of your own allies. So if it's almost always possible, the fighter among the 3 of you is wrestling this ogre's arm. He's being swung around by this ogre. I try to aim Burning Hands such that I only scorch the right half of the ogre and avoid my compatriot as he's being flung around by this beast. Fine. And then you as the GM, maybe you adjudicate that because he's being flung around, the fighter needs to make a save, or you just, flip a coin and see if he randomly gets caught in the crossfire or whatever, right? But in almost all cases, yeah, it should be fine. Or just do something that doesn't run the risk of friendly fire. You know, it encourages you to do something else as a caster. The caster's already very powerful, so being in more messy situations where it's unclear as to whether or not you're going to end up in a crossfire situation, that can bring the caster in line a little bit with other characters. Otherwise, if you do want to gain that information, you can simply, I appraise the battlefield to see if I'm in a good position to launch an area of effect attack. There's probably a better way to word that. I prepare casting my fireball. I hold the red orb between my hands and survey the battlefield to see if it's tactically sound to launch this. And then the DM can say, it would be questionable to do so. You would almost certainly hit your ally in the process. There, I think, is also a fine you as well. And are we getting into the hypothetical? Sure. But this is just more information off of an action. And we can adjudicate this as a move action. We can adjudicate this as whatever. And then we can just move on whenever the turn is ended. And again, it goes back to player trust. You have to trust that your player is not going to take 50 actions if he's only accorded 2 or 3 or what have you, right? Suddenly, a masked man leaps out from the shadows, the glint of a steel blade in his hands. I draw my sword and slash at the man haphazardly, raising my shield. Okay, fine. What if the player draws his sword, I go to slash at the man, then I start stepping back? Okay, sure. Then I raise my shield, and I plant my shield firmly in front of me in a defensive stance, and then I begin retrieving a fight. Now, GM, just interrupt him. Before you can do that, your compatriot has a chance to act. Your compatriot being whoever's next in the row. Or if it's just you and this masked assailant in the combat, before you can do that, the assailant swipes at your hand as you reach for that. Or when you reach for that. Or however you want to frame that. I try to avoid as you, but I think it's fine if you're doing it to interrupt a player. And that can even be a cue. It can, as you do that, that might be a cue that turnflation is happening. Hey, hang on, cut off right here. But again, this won't be as much of a problem if your players know the rules of the game and know, I can take this many actions. Oh, and this is why I say have a little leeway, because they might be able to also take that step because they might have quick draw and you might not remember that they took quick draw. It's not the end of the world, right? If they ended up cheating on accident and they ended up, I drew my sword and then I take a step back and then, but DM, he just took a move action and drew his weapon, which is a move action, and attacked, which is, he took 2 move actions and a standard action. He can't do that, GM. Well, guess what? He has +1 BAB, so he doesn't actually need quick draw because as part of a move action, his 5-foot step, he could draw his weapon too. So all he would have to do is reword that as he's stepping back, he draws his sword, then he makes his attack. Really? So functionally, the turn looked the exact same, but we just spent 30 seconds arguing like a bunch of sweaty Cheeto finger-covered nerds. To what end, man? It don't make sense to me. To me, it's something I'd rather just handle before the session and then handle again after the session if I need to, right? If you need to have like a, hey guys, what's going on here? Because do you guys need a refresher? Because we're taking crazy long turns. You keep forgetting how much what your to attack is. But other than that, yeah, just do things like that. How often do you have the physical space in 1 inch, 5 foot squares to represent an archer that's taking a -5 for shooting someone 800 feet away? I don't have a table that big. Um, so certainly, I would much rather just abstract that as the guy's about 800 feet away, or the guy's on the horizon line to indicate he's way out of range of anything. It's just a silhouette of a person out there. Might not even be a person, it could be like a cactus or something at that distance. And then that indicates to you that's a really far range. I'm definitely not going to be able to hit that. I probably shouldn't even be shooting it. I don't have target identification on that. I need to gather more information. So let's go do that. Instead of asking, GM, is it getting closer? No, because then we get into 20 questions and things just slow down. Because then it's like, no, you don't know if it's getting closer. Make a perception check. 25, what do I see? And then we just go down the line and everything's slowed down by this middleman. Versus, I squint my eyes, look at the horizon, and wait to see if he's getting closer. GM. He is getting closer, but in fact, it's not a he at all. It's a woman. A few others pop over the horizon line some distance behind her. Pause. Back to the player characters. Do the other ones look like they're armed? No. I look for glints in the sun or any odd shapes poking out from the silhouettes. And then we have back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We know where the characters are. We know what the characters are doing. There's no confusion as to, wait, so could I be like next to Jim because I want to like get next? Just say you're next to Jim, right? I trust that you can use your 30 foot, 60 foot of movement on your turn, whatever. It doesn't matter, right? Likewise, I want to charge that guy. Oh, he's 60 foot away. Oh, he's about 70 foot away, right? Because, oh, you don't have a battle map. Oh, I don't know the exact distances. Oh, would I be able to charge him, GM? Well, what's the difference between 65 and 70 if you have a dagger, for say, a non-reach weapon? Here's a better example. What's the difference between 70 feet and 75 feet in Dungeons and Dragons? Nothing. Almost nothing. Because you won't be able to reach them with a dash or a charge. That's it, you know? So just give decent descriptions. Give, it's about 60 feet, it's about 30 feet, because you just need to remember, these big increments. And then if you say, oh, it's about 75 feet and the guy's playing a monk or a barbarian and he has fast movement, oh, then he gets to charge the guy, right? And they know that because they're playing the barbarian. This is getting long in the tooth, but I could just keep coming up with examples ad infinitum. The addendum to this, I would say, if you are having trouble remembering rules and you're playing a more complicated game, look up an auto sheet. I cannot recommend the Pathfinder auto sheet V6 by, what is his name? Keenan Jones? Anyways, whoever this is. Excellent auto sheet. It basically just has a bunch of boxes. So my level 1 character here is 13 strength. He's got a longsword. I swing with a longsword. It does a d8 plus 2 damage. Great, that's easy to calculate. But I want to do power attack. So power attack is -1 to hit, plus 2 to damage for every 4 base attack bonus you have. And you're going, using your mental abacus here. Or you could just tick power attack on the automatic character sheet, and then it goes, oh, now I only have a +1 to hit, but I do a d8 plus 4. Oh, I'm gonna two-hand my longsword and get a little bit of extra leverage and damage on there. It's 1.5x to strength modifier. I have, let's see, 13 strength. Do we round up or round down? I can't remember. DM, do we round up or round? No. Variables, drop down, strength to hit, Strength 1.5x to damage. 1d8 plus 5. Let me show you what this looks like in person. I draw my longsword to fend off that masked assailant. Then, on the following turn, the assailant, attacks me. I make some defenses. I then draw my offhand dagger. Now I'm going from single weapon fighting to 2-weapon fighting. I'm drawing my offhand dagger. Boom. I scroll down. I go offhand, weapon finesse. -1 to attack. Realistically, I would just already have the second weapon put in there. But even still, as I'm making the description, I just click the drop down. Boom. Weapon finesse, 2-weapon fighting. Now I know. I still do a d8 plus 4 damage. -1 to hit. Going from two-handing a weapon to using 2 separate weapons. And that's an edge case. I don't think I've ever seen that happen in like 12 years of running Pathfinder. But it's simple to do things like this when you have an auto sheet. I think the game came out a little too early. I think it was too crunchy and messy to run on paper. But, you got a good Excel spreadsheet. You got something like that. You have something like Chummer for Shadowrun for tracking your gunshots. You have something that's got like a weird, you're using a FAMAS, which has a 25-round magazine, but a 3-round burst. So you're going to fire one shot. Hold on, GM. I fire a burst at him, but I don't. No, you just click I fire a burst from my FAMAS at him. Boom. Brrr, oh. And then it clacks as the bolt runs empty. I drop the magazine and then start fumbling around with it. It's just there. Use these cheat sheets. Use these things. Use the resources that are available at your fingertips instead of looking at memes, instead of spending 30 minutes to dig in the book for a rule. Just have the rule right there, automatically calculated, no reading paragraphs. Yeah, that's it. Hopefully that's of some help to you. This is really rambly, and it was really just a bunch of different examples of things going on like this. Hopefully I can show you an in-play example of this happening from my own games. Of course, you could see it in a game I played in, say, Rick's Traveler game from ages ago, where we're shooting, and you'll never see this. Rick never asks about it, but I stop shooting whenever my magazine runs empty, and then I put the gun away, and I start looking for other things to do, because I'm not going to reload here. I don't have any extra magazines on my character sheet, and I didn't know if that was a mistake because I was playing a pre-gen. And I could have done something like I pat my chest rig down to try and find another magazine to maybe indicate to Rick, hey, I don't know if I have any, but he may not have gotten that. So I just moved on. I just chucked the gun and just started rifling around corpses looking for, other guns, assuming they wouldn't be using the same mags and ammo that I was. I think if you play like this, at least try a one-shot like this. No questions. Trust that whatever numbers the players tell you, that's right. Obviously, if you're DC 15 and a player says 327, okay, something's wrong, right? But trust that your players have things right. Players, make sure you know the rules. GM, make sure you know the rules too. And then use an auto sheet, use cheat sheets to make sure that those weird edge cases are easier to calculate, off the top. That's it, That should make combat way faster. It should make gameplay in general way faster for you. So yeah, there you go. See ya.